You're live.
Very good. So good morning and welcome to the December 14 meeting of the Maryland Sports Wagering Application Review Commission, or SPR. At today's meeting, we'll address two mobile sports wagering license applications and one Class B application, which have been found qualified by Maryland Lottery and Gaming. For the next several months, SPR will have additional license award decision meetings as Maryland Lottery and Gaming qualifies applicants and our advisors review the applications. As witnessed by Maryland Lottery and Gaming's release of the latest sports wagering revenue numbers, mobile sports wagering has accounted for the bulk of the sports wagers placed in November, and we're eager to see what the December numbers will look like. The proposed agenda and materials for today's meeting were distributed in advance of the meeting, so our first item of business is a motion to approve the agenda.
So move.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. Any discussion? So those in favor of approving the proposed agenda, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Motion carries. So similar to the November meeting, our consultants have prepared a PowerPoint presentation to enable an efficient meeting. They'll briefly recap the steps we followed to get us here, and we'll review each applicant's materials in preparation for the commission's votes on their applications. In accordance with section 91E15F of the state government article, we commissioners have had copies of the full applications for consideration since the week following the October 21 application deadline. And the TAF consultants have received questions and comments from commissioners as the team of professionals has been thoroughly vetting them. Some of the applications entailed large ring binders of documents, and we appreciate the professional help in digesting the decision support material. On December 1, Maryland Lottery and Gaming transmitted to SPR its decision statements for the two mobile applicants, Bally's Interactive Maryland LLC and WSI US LLC, doing business as WinBet, who have applied for mobile licenses. And on October 27, Maryland Lottery and Gaming transmitted to SPR its decision statement for one applicant, Longshots Hagerstown LLC, who applied for a sports wagering facility license. So with that, I'll turn the floor over to Kim Kopp of Taft to describe the professional advisor's evaluation of applications and present them to us for action.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning, commissioners. I don't know if we want to share the PowerPoint or just go through it. Oh, sorry. It's coming. My apologies.
Perfect.
Thank you to whoever's driving. So we could skip to the next slides, I think. Thanks. Okay, again, as the chairman's already stated what our process would be this morning, I just wanted to remind everybody before we start that at our last meeting in November, when we approved the 10 mobile applicants, we put together a pretty detailed PowerPoint, which gave a lot more background, like purpose of SPR, what SPR has done, and kind of how we got here. Some of these slides are the same, obviously, for this meeting, but we've taken some out because we've already gone through those. So I just want to remind folks that those are posted on SPR's website if anyone would like to review them. For today's meeting, as the chairman has announced, so if we can go to the next slide, my apologies. Maryland Lottery and Gaming has approved one Class B, it's actually a Class B2 if we want to be specific, applicant, and they've also approved two mobiles at their December 1st meeting that they found qualified for those. This just states, this slide just provides what MLGCC determines when it makes its qualification decision, looking at financial stability, integrity, responsibility, financial backers, good character, honesty, and so forth. So we can skip to the next slide. At today's meeting, we will have the 3 applicants, 1 Class B2 sports wagering applicant and 2 mobiles. We'll give similar to our last meeting, we'll give an overview of each applicant, allow obviously an opportunity for questions or comments. And then if you're inclined, the SPR commissioners can go ahead and take a vote on the applicant. If you go to the next slide. As a reminder to everybody, in our regulations, we set forth for all sports wagering applicants 13 criteria by which we were looking at these applicants. They're listed on the screen. I don't want to read through all of them. It just generally includes their experience, ability to comply with sports wagering laws, their investments in responsible gaming programs, the financial stability and resources. Next one. If an applicant sought investors, their solicitation to minority and women investors, the sports wagering taxes expected to be earned by the state of Maryland, applicants' ability to commence sports wagering operations quickly, the creation of jobs, which is obviously much more important for the retail than the mobile, because that's kind of the business plan. Applicants' commitment to make investments in Maryland. Next page. Whether the applicant's sports wagering business would appeal to a unique market, responsiveness of the applicant, whether the award is in the public interest, and other considerations deemed to be of interest under the sports wagering law. Next slide. When we do the facility licenses, there are 3 additional criteria, and that's what's highlighted on this slide. And those briefly are whether the location is in an opportunity or enterprise zone, the extent that it encourages wagerers to stay within the state of Maryland or attract some folks from the border into the state of Maryland. And those are the additional 3 for the facility license that we were to consider. Next slide. Under the sports wagering law, to award the license, SPR must declare the award to be in the public interest. These are the same public interest factors we discussed in our last meeting, and those are generally state fiscal resources for education that would be earned through our wagering tax, economic development and employment opportunities, the regulation of an otherwise unregulated sports wagering market. Next slide. The additional public interest factors that we talked about at our last meeting were that the award provides opportunities for individuals satisfying SPR's personal net worth criteria to participate in the industry. That was a big interest of ours. Each applicant has agreed to submit a diversity plan that will include strategies for obtaining diverse groups of owners, investors, employees, and contractors. Wagers to be protected by maintaining required cash reserves and performance bonds. And again, problem gambling of how these applicants intend to enforce self-exclusion programs and industry standards for responsible gaming tools. So those are the public interest factors that I expect we would be considering today with the 3 applicants that we have before us. If we can go to the next slide. We had asked at the last meeting, it was of interest, great interest, to talk about the numbers, for lack of a better term, for mobile wagering. And for, of course, obviously for this meeting, we've added retail. For this slide, Matt Para, I believe is on from Spectrum Gaming Group. Matt, if you could go through this slide, it'd be greatly appreciated. I see him on, I just don't hear him. Okay.
Muted, huh?
Yes. Okay. I can certainly do it then. Okay. By the numbers, what this is for.
I apologize, Kim.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, I missed you just wanted me to explain the numbers here?
Yeah, the numbers would be great if you can do that.
Sure. So for, we referenced Eilers & Kreshik's U.S. gaming report from May, which projected the numbers year 1 through 5 for Maryland. And we basically took the aggregate of all now 12 applicants with the addition of these 2. And we provided you aggregated figures that would kind of represent what these core 12 preliminary operators project to generate for the state. So which we essentially, you can see that the total projected state taxes over the 5 years is estimated to come out to about 341 million based on their revenue projections and the 15% tax rate.
Great. Any questions on? Hearing none, I guess we'll go to the next slide, which is the retail wagering numbers. And Matt, I don't know if you while you're on, if you're still on, if you can go through this one as well.
Sure. So again, we had Eilers and Kreshik, they had projected retail numbers. Obviously the retail is already live in Maryland, but as we add more and more applicants to the pool, there is a certain tax or gross gaming revenue expectation just based on the population and what we've seen compared to other states who have retail sports betting.
Okay. Any questions on the retail numbers? Obviously, they're much smaller than what the mobile is, but I think the chairman hit on that. And that would be expected. That's following what we see in most states. Okay, and I guess we'll go to the next slide if we can. And thank you everyone for your patience. We'll go through them. We put the mobiles first.
I think it's in order for me to ask for a motion to approve our public interest factors before we do these.
You're correct. My apologies. Go ahead.
That's all right. So with the section 9(1)(e)(15)(o) of the state government article prohibits SWORC from awarding a sports wagering license unless we determine and declare that award of the license to the applicant is in the public interest and consistent with the purposes of Title IX, Subtitle 1E of the state government article. About a year ago, during the November 18th, 2021 SWORC meeting, we discussed 3 public interest factors in favor of licensing sports wagering. Number 1, enhanced state fiscal resources, mainly money for education. 2, economic development opportunities. And 3, regulating an otherwise unregulated black market. And at our last meeting, and just now, as reiterated by Kim, some additional public interest factors have been considered by us. So now do I have a motion to declare that the public interest factors that we considered in November 2021 and just now shall serve as the basis for awarding the competitive licenses for the Maryland sports wagering licenses?
So moved.
Thank you, Frank. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of declaring these public interest factors shall serve as the basis for awarding competitive licenses for sports wagering signify by saying yes. And those opposed. The motion carries unanimously. And now, Ms. Kopp, please proceed.
Sorry. All right. So now that I've ruined the order, I'll go back to where we'll present the mobile sports wagering applicants. Again, there are 2, and we're providing them in alphabetical order so that no one can yell at us for some other reason. So if we can go to the next slide, we can start. But again, as you all have been provided with much more detailed summaries than what we're going to discuss here, you also have the full applications and have had those. Well, the first one that we're presenting here for the mobile is Bally's Interactive Maryland LLC. This is a newly formed applicant. The applicant is owned right now 100% by Bally's Interactive, which is a direct subsidiary of Bally's Corporation, which is a New York Stock Exchange listed company. What the applicant submitted in their application is an investment term sheet that it was signed by Bally's Interactive and an entity, Ujima Sportsbook LLC, which was formerly known as Bet on Black LLC. They had a name change between filing their application and our presentation today. What the term sheet provides is that Ujima Sportsbook will invest in the applicant and receive 5% ownership interest. Those would be LLC units within the entity that are non-voting. The investment is was subject to the award of the license today. So what I'm told will happen is the investment will be made after the award of the mobile sports wagering license, if we are going inclined to make that award, but before issuance of the license by Maryland Lottery and Gaming Control Commission. So what we would expect is that before their license is issued, that we're provided the definitive documents that show it matches what the investment term sheet is. I understand that they do. I haven't, we've seen drafts of the documents. So that's the ownership. It will be by Ujima Sportsbook. The two individuals who own Ujima Sportsbook LLC both satisfy our ownership criteria set forth in our regulations. And if we can go to the next slide, I can tell you that applicant's parent company, Bally's Interactive LLC, will be the online sports wagering operator for this applicant. Bally's Interactive is a subsidiary of Bally's Corporation, which operates 17 casinos located in 11 states. Bally's Interactive is their kind of sports wagering, iGaming, poker, and daily fantasy sports operator for Bally's Corporation, for Bally Corporation, and it is operates under the name of Bally Bet. Bally's Corporation, through Bally's Interactive, will fund all operational costs and liabilities of operating mobile sports wagering on behalf of the applicant. And as of the SEC filings for the quarter ended June 30, 2022, Bally's indicated that it has cash and cash equivalents on hand of $176 million. So I present to you for consideration Bally's Interactive Maryland LLC for a mobile sports wagering license.
So the chair is seeking a motion to determine and declare that award of a mobile sports wagering license to Bally's Interactive Maryland LLC is in public interest based on the factors identified in our past meetings and consistent with the purposes of Title IX, Subtitle 1E of the state government article. Do I have such a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, do I have all in favor and signify by saying yes?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion's carried unanimously. Now I need a motion to award a mobile sports wagering license to Bally's Interactive Maryland LLC, subject to the applicant submitting the memorandum of understanding required under section 91E 15I2 of the state government article and as described by Kim in her presentation. Do I have such a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All right, the motion's duly made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously among those of us present. Moving right along.
Sure, we can advance the slides. We'll take our second mobile applicant for this morning's meeting. Our second applicant is WSI US LLC, which does business as WinBet. This applicant, through various holding companies, is owned 85% by Win Resorts Limited, which is a NASDAQ listed company, and 15% by other individuals and entities. For compliance with our ownership criteria in our regs, this applicant took a somewhat unique approach. I think we had someone in our last meeting that did something similar. What the applicant did here is they created an employee incentive bonus pool where their vice president or higher employees who satisfy SWARC's net worth criteria are able to participate. There are currently 8 participants. There could certainly be more or less, but in any event, each of the participants in the pool are given an interest in the employee pool, and each year that pool will receive at least 5% of the applicant's net profits attributable to its operations in Maryland, and then it'll be split among the participants in the pool. When I say at least, that it could be more than that. There's discretion for them to increase. In fact, There was conversation of maybe it could increase, but right now they've certified to us it would not be less than 5% of profits. So the ownership interest here is again in these employee incentive bonus pool, which was a unique approach. Next slide. I can tell you a little bit about this applicant. This applicant again operates under the brand WinBet. It's the U.S. operating subsidiary of Win Interactive Limited, the majority owned and controlled digital gaming division of Win Resorts Limited. You might know Win Resorts for Win and Encore hotels and integrated resorts that operate in Las Vegas, Boston, and Macau. Very well known. This applicant operates sports wagering and online casino gaming in 9 U.S. states, and it is expected to add 7 states in the near future. The applicant, majority owner, Win Resorts Limited, will be responsible for any cash shortfalls for this applicant's Maryland operations. For the quarter ended September 30, 2022, Win Resorts Limited reported cash and cash equivalents of $1.9 billion. And so that would be the presentation for WSI US LLC as an applicant for the mobile sports wagering license.
Very good. So the chair is looking for a motion to determine and declare that award of a mobile sports wagering license to WSI US LLC is in public interest based on the factors identified in our past meetings and consistent with the purposes of Title IX, Subtitle 1E of the state government article. I have such a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. The motion is duly moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. The motion's approved. Next, I need a motion to award a mobile sports wagering license to WSI US LLC, subject to the applicant submitting the memorandum of understanding required under Section 9(1)E 15I2 of the state government article. I have such a motion.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
Thank you, Laura. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None. The motion's approved unanimously. So moving along. Ms. Kopp.
Okay, if we can advance to the next slide, we will begin our presentation for sports wagering facility license applicant. Lovely graphic. We can go to the next slide. My apologies. And our applicant here, we have one for the facility license applicants. The applicant is Long Shots Hagerstown LLC. It's owned 100% by Elise Cohen. The applicant's sole owner satisfies the personal net worth requirements and obviously owns the applicant. You might think that this sounds familiar to you when you hear Long Shots, and it should, because this applicant, an affiliate of this applicant, the owner of this applicant also is the same owner as Long Shots LLC, which is an entity that we granted a sports wagering facility license in December of 2021, and it actually opened its temporary sports book, which is operated by Betfred Sports, on November 18th, just a few weeks ago. And also Long Shots LLC at our last meeting was awarded a mobile sports wagering license with their mobile operations, which will also be operated by Betfred Sports, or is not yet operational. For this location, Long Shots Hagerstown, the applicant has not yet engaged a sports wagering facility operator to conduct the retail sports book. It is obviously has asked Betfred Sports to do that. It could be Betfred or it could be someone else. We don't know. So right now, the applicant is still seeking an operator, and that would obviously, before an issuance of the license by Maryland Lottery and Gaming, that would have to be something that would need to be completed. If we can advance to the next slide. The location, which is important for a facility location license. This location is located near Valley Mall. It's off of Interstate 81 in Hagerstown, Maryland. The sports wagering facility is not located in an opportunity or enterprise zone. is required to have a zoning amendment for this location. That process is well underway, but takes several months to complete. The owner of the applicant began the zoning amendment process in May, was approved at a November meeting by the Planning Commission, and then will be approved by the next level of approval it's needed by the end of the year. And then it should, is expected to be effective in the first quarter of 2023. So before award of the before issuance of this license by Maryland Lottery and Gaming, the zoning amendment would also need to be completed. The facility is not owned by the applicant, but an affiliate of the applicant. The facility is currently occupied by a restaurant. That restaurant is being vacated, and a new restaurant tenant will be sought and put into this facility to operate a restaurant complementary to the sports wagering operation. The applicant does have an agreement with the owner of the facility that allows it access to operate the sports book. And so once this restaurant is vacated, which that is, I've been told, is in process. All financial costs and liabilities, let's get you back up. One is that the applicant, of course, for financial stability or financial information, paid the application fee of $50,000, but all cost and operating of the sports book, like others, we would expect that would be funded by the sports wagering facility operator that would be selected by this applicant. So that's the presentation for Long Shots Hagerstown LLC. Again, it's owned by Ms. Cohen, who owns Long Shots LLC, and she has demonstrated an ability to open and operate the retail facility at Long Shots, which is the OTB facility, and has demonstrated the ability to begin its mobile operations. So for this license, it's a second location or second facility location for her. There are some things that need to be completed, but she's shown to us, the ability to do that.
So does anyone have any questions or comments for consultants?
I got it seems to be a lot of moving parts in this too. A lot of things need to happen before other things can happen.
There are. Frank, Mr. Turner, you're correct. There are pieces here that are moving. Meaning, I guess my response back to that is yes, and Ms. Cohn did call us and ask if SWARC would be opening the application window at any other time. And I advised, I think, because right now, this is the only window we had, was the October deadline for any sort of Class B license or mobile license. So she did call beforehand and said, look, I'm in the process of this and I would like to do this, but this is the only opportunity we've granted for anyone to apply. One. Two, again, she has demonstrated that she's capable of getting these pieces done. I know when we had awarded the Long Shots LLC the OTB facility license, an operator was not yet available for that as well. And of course, she came to us successfully with one. So I think the best light we can put her in to become successful is to award the license so then she can secure the operator. We'll have to continue vacating the current restaurant. And then, of course, the zoning amendment, which right now appears to be on course. Obviously, if any of those things don't occur, I suspect that this license would never be formally issued by Maryland Lottery and Gaming.
Right. I just wanted to get some background discussion on it. I'm fine with it.
Very good. Any other questions or comments? All right, then. The chair is looking for a motion to determine and declare that award of a facility sports wagering license to Long Shots Hagerstown LLC is in the public interest based on the factors identified in our past meetings, as well as factors discussed earlier today, and consistent with the purposes of Title IX, Subtitle 1E of the state government article. Do I have such a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Thanks, Laura. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Right.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously among those who was here. Next, a motion to award a facility sports wagering license to Long Shots Hagerstown LLC, subject to the applicant submitting the memorandum of understanding required under section 9(1)(e)(15)(I)(2) of the state government article. I have a motion, Frank.
So moved.
Thanks. Second.
Second.
Thanks, Laura. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion passes unanimously. Good grief. So I think that concludes our slides, right, Kim?
It does. It just, yes, that does. I mean, the only thing we have left is the next steps. And
Well,
that's,
that would be on my to-do list here.
yes, it is. So go ahead.
So our next steps are that the consultants and lottery are continuing to review the qualifications of the remaining 9 mobile sports wagering applications and remaining 5 Class B sports wagering facility applications. And as they are qualified and reviewed, they'll be presented to SWORC for our consideration. For today's awardees, SWORC staff will be contacting you about completing the statutorily required memoranda of understanding. Once the MOUs are completed and signed and the decision statement has been issued, today's actions will be final. Awardees are also reminded that they must submit their diversity plans to SWORC within 30 calendar days of their license award. SWORC will transmit the decision statements to MLGCC, who will review the awardees' internal controls and responsible gaming measures, as well as monitor their controlled demonstrations before issuance of their licenses. I don't see a need for us to go into a closed session today unless someone else on the commission feels otherwise. And so our next SWORC meeting will also be a virtual meeting, and it's currently scheduled for January 18th, 2023 at 9 a.m., although that might be adjusted deference to the poor students who have to get up at the dark 30 in Chicago. In the meantime, please mark your calendars accordingly.
Chairman?
Yes.
At the next meeting, I will also give a presentation to SWORC on the submission of the diversity plans. So far, we have 5. The other 5 should be arriving today or tomorrow.
Very good. That's important to know for the first 10 that we've complied with what our regulations require. All right, then. So do I have a motion to adjourn? Frank?
Yes, so moved.
Okay, good. And do I have a second to that?
Second.
Thank you, Laura. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. The motion carries. And that concludes today's meeting. Thank you all for all this work and for making the time to conduct business today.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great holiday.
Have a great
Happy
holiday.
holidays.
Bye.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Tom, don't get too much sun.
Bye.